Okay, let's do a little bit of adjustment here. And we look pretty good. I know it's not perfect because when I turn on my camera on YouTube and I'm doing these interviews, sometimes the way it's set up, it doesn't really look like it's quite lined up with my camera, but we're good to go. All right, everybody. Besides me talking to myself, like I was just telling my guests, welcome to Ghost of Hawaii. I'm your host, you know who. And tonight, like we've done in the past, through one way or another, we're going to be visiting another part of the world. Mostly we've been doing Japan, and I tell you folks, I am so fascinated with Japanese culture and, of course, the paranormal. But tonight we're going to go to an entirely new place, and it's another place that I found to be very fascinating. And I also have a dear friend that's from there that unfortunately passed away, but she was a fantastic person that was involved with the paranormal. As a matter of fact, right off the top of my head, this show will be dedicated to Sherry Lynn Peters. May she rest in peace. But we're going to be visiting Australia tonight, guys. And I'm really intrigued because my guest that I have, long story short, is a member of my group, Ghosts of Hawaii. Janine Lopa Hayabaki from Las Vegas. It's good to see you, Janine. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I appreciate you being here tonight. So he's been a member for a couple of weeks, and we had him share some stories on the group page, Ghosts of Hawaii, and it was so fantastic, so darn fantastic. Cheyenne, thank you for being here tonight. Hello. It was so fantastic that I almost immediately asked him if he could be a guest on the show. So we will be talking tonight about ghosts and interdimensional beings or entities, whatever variant. And I say that word respectfully, considering what's going on with the pandemic. Whatever way, shape, or form we decide to choose. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my guest for tonight, Jeremy Thomas, all the way from beautiful, I guess I could say mysterious, and other things that would come to mind, I'm sure, as we continue this interview tonight. Jeremy Thomas, all the way from Australia. Welcome to Talking Ghosts, Exploring Ginger. Thank you for stopping by. This is a show, and thank you for the like, by the way. This is a show where we really, just put everything off to the side. Like, I'm not doing my talk in the dark or any type of live streaming. We are just talking ghosts and things that are of the paranormal. Jeremy Thomas, welcome to Talking Ghosts. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
And it is day, I know, because you are how many hours ahead of me right now?
It is 8:30 there and 4:30 here. I would say anywhere between 12 to 14 hours ahead of you. So hi everybody from the future.
That's right. We have a time traveler here. And I think we'll bring that up in the course of the conversation. I always want to do a show about time travelers as well. So it's going to be interesting to talk about this interdimensional stuff. Brian, thank you for being here. Love it. We have people coming in early on into the program, and you are all very much so welcome to our. Oh, well, okay. Before we begin, one moment, Jeremy. When we do the show, it's good to express and talk. But if you have any questions at all for my guests or anything else like that, please just, if you can, just keep it to when we kind of like wind up the interview phase of the show, and then we can go back and forth. You know what I mean, with that fantastic conversation. So
Yeah.
let's just kind of do it that way. But please feel happy to talk amongst yourself and feel happy to be here. You're all welcome to this channel. So Jeremy, first and foremost, that's those stories that you shared were fascinating, and it has to do with a certain region that you live in. So I just want to start off by identifying the region that you live in.
Yes, I live in Australia, far north Queensland.
And you live by a forest, right?
Yes, the Daintree Rainforest. On one side of us is the Daintree, and then on the other side is the Coral Sea.
Awesome. And you're originally from the States, right?
Yeah, originally from America, yes.
Okay, so can you kind of give us an idea of what it was like for you growing up with things that were interesting or anything you want to share about yourself? Just feel free to share that, and then we'll go on into the topic for tonight.
I grew up in a very conservative background,
Mhm.
but my mom would always read to me stories about different mythologies: Greek, Roman, Mesoamerican, Mesopotamia. And some of my favorites was even the Hawaiian mythology and the ancient religion there. So I would have all of these books and I would be reading them, and that's just really what got me interested in the supernatural, the paranormal, and the spiritual world.
Ah, okay. So you, in some way, even though you've never been to Hawaii, you feel like there's some kind of fascination or maybe a connection of some time, or maybe or.
I've always wanted to visit Hawaii. It hasn't been in the cards yet, but I'm hoping that the card will pop out of the deck soon.
Awesome. We'd love to have you visit here. As a matter of fact, if you ever come to my island, I'll show you around. I don't know if you want to visit any haunted places, but we can do that as well. Kuniko Kid, hello. Aloha to you. Neil Toma, aloha, my friend. How are you doing tonight, all of you folks? It's a beautiful Sunday evening. It's a great time to talk about the subject matter at hand. Um, when you were growing up, I don't know if it was the same for you like me,
Mhm.
but especially in your younger years, it seems like the elementary school kids have like this own neat little social network. So when it came to like scary things or other stuff like that, I mean, this is before the internet, we would, talk about it. There was something going on at a certain place. We could be living in town and we would know what would be going on at Mokuleia at like a place called Camp Erdman, which was haunted by
Mhm.
a ghost called the Seaweed Lady, which has another connection to, I think, possibly with the Green Lady and some other stuff. Anyway, did you have that type of experience where kids would talk about spooky places or anything like that?
When it's funny that you mentioned that, when I was in elementary school, this would have been kindergarten, first grade.
Mm-hmm.
There would be in the playroom where we would go where the tent would be, and the tent would be filled with all these books.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the books would be like scary stories and stuff, and some of the older kids would read that to us, and that would just really spark our imagination, but also really upset our parents when we couldn't go to sleep that night.
Ah. So you never like in the area that you lived, you never heard of like places that were haunted, and stuff like that.
They said well, my elementary school and also another school in town was known to be haunted. Strange things would happen in the restrooms, especially the girls' restrooms. Like sometimes one of my friends, I can't remember what, this was many years ago, um, she was there and all these girls came running out of the restroom screaming, saying that the bathroom stall in the back corner, the door would constantly slam and bang.
Wow. Was there any type of origin of the spirit? Did anyone know what the spirit was at all, or it's just something that terrified people with no explanation behind it?
I was so young at that time
Hmm.
when I overheard this story. I never really looked into it.
Uh huh. It's really interesting because for some reason or another, ghosts like several things like theaters and basements and whatnot, but they also seem to have some type of fascination with bathrooms. I don't know why, but they seem to do that because I've heard many stories about haunted bathrooms and such.
I know it's so weird. I mean, if I was a ghost, I think the last place I would want to haunt is a bathroom.
Yes, trust me, I totally agree with you about that. So, yeah, I think basically almost every place, and I'm sure maybe our audience could agree on it. There's a where you live, where you grow up. There's always a place that's like a notorious place that is haunted, and it could be anything: a home, an office, a road, like the ones that I actually go out and investigate and stuff. But yeah, it just kind of seems that way. So let's kind of move along here. So when you were, what age were you when you first had an encounter? So okay, so was it the interdimensional stuff first, or the ghost that you ran into?
It would have been the ghosts, and it would have been, I want to say probably when I was, yeah, it would have been when I was like 16, 17 years old. Like it started, like I know so many people, it happened to me when I was a child, but for me it was my later teen years.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so what kind of place was this that was haunted?
It would have been at the university that I went to during my sophomore year in high school.
Ah, and what would that place be? Okay, Big Island Bear. Thank you for being here, my
No,
friend. And hold on a second. Neil Thomas says aloha to Jeremy. Okay.
aloha.
Yeah. So okay, so this place was um like a university. Can you kind of more or less describe, or not describe? Is it okay to name the university at all, or
uh, I can um, I can name it. It was EKU.
EKU? What does that
Yes,
stand for? Do you know?
Eastern Kentucky University.
Eastern Kentucky University. Okay. So this before you even had your encounters, did this place have a reputation that you knew of, or did you find it out when you started going to that place?
I found out about it once I started going to it and meeting other people. And then the stories just started coming out about, oh, this building is haunted by the Blue Lady, or this building is haunted by a ghost named Victoria, that sort of stuff.
Okay, so let's take that step by step. So, do you know what were
Mhm.
people saying about Victoria, and where did she haunt at the university?
Okay, when it was like, I'm trying to remember, like, I'm 35 years old, so this was like ages ago for
Mm.
me.
Hello, Dave.
Um,
Hmm.
let's see. So it'd been probably about my sophomore year in high school. So I would have been 15, 16. And during that summer, I was spending 6 weeks on the college campus, basically getting into the rhythm of what college life would be like,
Uh huh.
starting early, basically.
Oh, okay, okay. You're so young. You said I'm 35. I mean, wow, you're so modest. But okay, so all you know is that there was a ghost named Victoria haunting a part of the campus.
Haunting the dorm that I was residing in, yes.
Oh, in the dorm you were well, no wonder you knew about the ghost there. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I didn't find out about her until after the incident.
The incident. We'll be talking about the incident in just a moment or so. Let me see who's in
Hmm.
here. Dave He, thank you for stopping in, my friend, and supporting Ghost of Hawaii. Joyce Higa, good to see you as well. Thank you for stopping by and supporting the channel. You guys are all awesome people that are watching tonight. So, okay, so you were talking about the incident. I like that
Hmm.
because a lot of times in the paranormal, I think mostly with UFOs, but there's other things too. I even named
Hmm.
one of my experiences an incident. It's they always say they put the in there, the incident. So what was the incident that we were talking about here?
Okay, so I was getting up that morning. My alarm had just gone off.
Mm-hmm.
I made my way out of my dorm room, and I was walking down the hall towards the bathroom. And I know it's so funny because every time it's a bathroom. And as I was making my way down to the door itself swung open with a squeak, and I can still hear the squeaking sound of that door. And this white towel was thrown out. Like the door swung open and the towel was literally thrown out, and then the door swung back shut and the towel landed on the ground.
Well, you know something, I hate to interject, but first
Hmm.
and foremost, I think again, ghosts like to follow traditional methods to scare us, and one of the most interesting one is the squeaky, creaky door type thing. So, props out there to the this spirit named Victoria. You did a very good job with following the traditional methods of startling people. And
Yeah.
she throws a towel, right? And then, so what happens after
Yes.
that? Are you startled? I mean, I'm sure you are, right?
Well, at first I'm like, okay, well, obviously somebody else is up, and maybe that they dropped their towel. I walked over, looked at the towel, picked it up. It was dry, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So, me being 15, 16 years old, I walk into the bathroom and I look around, and the bathroom itself I actually had to write this out because the bathroom is designed with 4 toilet stalls,
Uh
four
huh.
urinals, and 4 shower stalls, and a long row of sinks
Okay.
in between. So as I'm in there, I'm, going, hello, no answer. And this is all on the 4th floor, by the way. So there's 2 tiny windows in that bathroom that do not open
Mm-hmm.
for safety reasons because, the people in the same dorm as me would say, sometimes people get depressed and, do things that people shouldn't do. And there's only one way in and out of that bathroom, the door that I just walked through. And I don't know I don't know, it was weird, but I started to search the stalls and the showers,
Right.
and there was nobody in that bathroom but me.
Okay.
It's like, so who or what opened that door and threw that towel out and why? It was like, it was just it was so weird walking through that bathroom and there's nobody in there. And I would have seen somebody if they had came out, or I would have heard the door squeak.
Right. Interesting. A lot of times when it comes to ghosts and their shenanigans or whatever you want to call it, there's something that has to do with like feeling like there's someone around. Did you feel like a presence or anything like that? And just one second before you answer that.
Hmm.
So let's look back here and we see I got Carla. Carla, thank you for being here. Big Island Bear Tours. Thank you for greeting everyone. As a matter of fact, before we go any further, if you do have a YouTube channel, mention it during the live stream. As an example, Big Island Bear Tours is starting up his channel. So if you guys don't mind, go over to Big Island Bear Tours and give him some love, please. And this is what this channel is all about: is just love and aloha. So go over there, give him some aloha, and give him a subscription, please. Subscribe to his channel and hit the notification button, okay? This man has a lot of heart. And so we're going to go back to what we were talking about. Thank you, Jeremy, for giving me that
Uh-huh.
moment. So, Jeremy, did you start to feel any kind of creepy sensation or anything like that?
When I went into the bathroom and I said hello and nobody answered, that's when I started to feel a little bit weird. And walking through, not the bathroom, but the toilet stalls were all open.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody in either of those, and there was nobody in the showers. And
Oh.
that's when the hair on the back of my neck rose.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, I've had the hair stand up when these type of things happen. One question I got to ask you though, I know you said
Uh huh.
when things happen, just to because I'm a bit curious about that. Were you talking
Hmm.
about suicide?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The reason why the windows would be barred shut is because um, incidents on campus have happened in the past.
Oh. Okay, hold on one second. Thank you, Carla, for putting up the link to his channel. I appreciate it. Ooh, that's I was gonna say, Jeremy, do you think it's possible that some of the activity could have been generated not only by Victoria, but were there people that committed suicide there?
Now that I don't know. That is just what other residents of the hall told me. That's the reason why the windows don't open,
Yes.
is because of that. Now, whether or not anybody other than what I was told about Victoria, um, I don't know if that's true or not.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. One second here. Did somebody pop in? I don't see anybody here. I always try to greet people. All right, so moving right along. Well, okay, so what was so I guess you left after that pretty quickly.
Yes. I went back to my room and woke my roommate up, and I basically said, I am not taking the shower alone. Something weird just happened. I'm not going in there by myself. So you need to get up and get ready for class too.
Female ghost in the men's bathroom. Naughty Victoria. No, I mean that's interesting. So, uh, was it after you was so wait after you mentioned about your experience in the bathroom on campus? Is
Uh
that
huh.
when people started talking about Victoria, or you had an idea of who Victoria was before that?
No, no, I didn't know anything about Victoria until after the fact, because then I started, of course, my roommate couldn't keep a secret. So by the time, lunchtime came around that day, everybody was like, oh, so Jeremy's being haunted by, the resident ghost. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like Victoria, the nurse who hung herself in the room.
Oh, so she was a victim of, well, she committed suicide.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, that's what I was told. And you can find that on Google as well. I mean, if you
Really?
Google, yeah, I mean, so, yeah.
She's.
And so the dorm, from what I found online, the basement, well,
Mm-hmm.
it was sort of like a hospital back in like the early 1900s, sort of like a
Okay.
hospital, and the
Mm.
basement was actually used as a morgue.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 70s, it was reported that a nurse who worked on the fourth floor hung herself in one of the rooms, and this is reported to be room 419.
Ooh, that for some reason, morgues, hospitals, nurses committing suicide, all of that stuff really gives that gruesome vibe, and it's kind of interesting. I wonder why that takes place. I wonder if maybe it's the challenge of their job. Sometimes I think it's personal issues in their lives, but yeah, that's ooh, boy. I'm just don't want to get too much chicken skin at the moment.
Yeah,
Carol,
it's a
hold on one
lot. I
second.
mean, that's, sorry.
I'm sorry, no problem. Go ahead. Continue and continue what you're saying, my friend. Go ahead.
Uh-huh. It's just, it's the energy, when someone is in, I guess, such a state of mind, that energy lingers and permeates the place.
Yes, yes, I totally agree with you on that. Carol, thank you for joining us here this evening, along with anyone else that's watching. Tonight, our topic is ghosts and interdimensional beings. And we have a fantastic guest, Jeremy Thomas, who is coming to us live from mysterious and wonderful, beautiful, exotic Australia. So, this is really fascinating stuff. So people were telling you about encounters they had with her or anything like that?
Yes, I remember one. This was like a year later,
Uh-huh.
during my second year of the program, and I was at the front desk in the dorm, and I was speaking to a lady there that we all referred to as Mama. She was like she was the dorm mother, like she looked after everybody,
Mm-hmm.
talked with them, like a very friendly, lovely lady. And the dude who worked for the I can't remember if it was Pepsi or Coca Cola, but he showed up in the truck to take the boxes down to the basement where the soda machines were. And we were at the front desk, and then later I find out that that man had been down there and had taken off. Like, Mama said that it sounded like a herd of horses racing up the stairs. He literally ran out of that building, jumped in his truck, and sped away. And it turns out that while he was down there putting the soda in the machine, Victoria made her presence known by coming up and banging against the front of the pop machine. Like when the door was open and him putting the pops in,
Yes.
she would bang against the door really, really loud. And apparently he dropped his key, he dropped the money thing, like coins, dollars were everywhere, pop rolling down the floor. Like he left everything.
Wow. Now
Yeah,
that's fear. when you
yeah.
you just don't think about your job or anything else. You're caught up in the moment and you just get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, from what Mama said, that he didn't even stop. Like, he literally ran out of the dorm.
Ooh.
Like, the place was on fire.
Ooh. Wow. That's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
I'm impressed because of the way that, and that's the whole thing about interaction with ghosts. I mean, for the most part, and I can vouch for this very well. When they want to scare you, I have people on the stream in chat say, "Well, I mean," and it's fine. They say, "Well, I'm not afraid of ghosts," and that's cool. But trust me, to what I'm telling all of you out there, you just have not met a ghost that really wanted to scare you, because they are quite capable of doing that. Rest assured, it's good that you're not scared, but please do not take that part for granted, because look at what Jeremy just shared with Victoria doing what she
Oh,
did. Yeah, that's
oh,
crazy.
I'm sure she was laughing herself silly, like that was great fun or something.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how people react when they become ghosts. I guess they become pranksters and all kind of crazy stuff out there. That is amazing. And well, anything else about Victoria that you know of? I'm beginning to really like Victoria. Victoria seems to be a very
Um,
interesting ghost.
those are the only two instances, well, my personal experience, and then hearing about the soda machine
Hmm.
guy. Those are the only two times I've ever had any experience with Victoria.
Mm. Did you ever feel at some point while you were residing there that there was something around at times, or?
Oh, yes, because everybody would talk about her. Like, she would come up in conversations 3, 4 times a week. So it's keeping her, just keeping her there, I guess. People talking about her. Like, it almost felt like, she wants to be known, and she wants to be popular, I guess.
Maybe she should have tried out to be a prom queen or something. But anyway,
Yeah.
so there's this other ghost. I know that we when we were talking the other day, she's called the Blue Lady.
Yes, the Blue Lady.
Oh, let's talk about the Blue Lady.
From what I know about the Blue Lady, and this was stories I was told by other friends, that she haunted the theater on campus,
Mm-hmm.
where the theater majors would go and work on stage, build the sets, act, and that was her favorite place to be. And some of them would see her at some point, or they would like see like a faint blue outline walk across the stage, or they would see her out of the corner of their eye, or they would be outside walking by the building and she would be up in a window or just be passing by a window.
Oh, okay. So is she kind of like, okay? Before we go any further, excuse me. There's Victoria, and then there's the Blue Lady. So between the two, which one do you think would be more scary? Victoria kind of seems like she really wants attention, and those are the type of spirits that can really, create havoc and stuff. But as far as before we go any further, which do you think is the most scary?
I didn't really think of either of them as scary. I was more intrigued by the fact that, I had an experience, and it opened my eyes to know that, there's more than what we there's more than what we see.
Right.
So just because our eyes are limited in what we can see, sometimes that realm shows itself. And I think that is an absolutely beautiful thing.
Ah, okay. Well, that's good to hear. I know sometimes people um, tend to get worked up about the experiences that with ghosts and everything, and I mean rightfully so. I mean I'm one of those guys that's like, well, yeah, there's this beautiful side to, and there is a beautiful side,
Hmm.
and then we talk about guardians and angels and all that. Trust me, I need
Hmm.
those in my life. That's It's not a paranormal thing, it's just a daily requirement for me. I
Hmm.
think spiritual people are more, you know open to that and everything else. But
Yes.
yeah, and what you said, I'm glad there's other people like yourself that have that really good outlook as well, regardless of what your spiritual belief is and such. So,
Hmm.
talking about the Blue Lady, uh, give us a little bit more about her and maybe what happened with you.
As far as the Blue Lady goes, I'm not really sure like what her actual story is, because it's different. Like, it's never the same story. And the thing is that she doesn't even have a name. She's only known by as the Blue Lady or the Lady in Blue. Um, and it one night we had gotten into the building, not illegally. The doors were open, the lights were on. So let me make that clear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we were just wandering around the first floor,
Mm-hmm.
and then we went up to the second floor where the grand ballroom is. Very beautiful room. Several of the fraternities and sororities would have dances and stuff there. And let me think, and then that night we had gone into the ballroom where she's usually seen in the windows. And we made our way to the elevator, and somehow we wound up in the basement. And the basement, which of course this is me being a teenager, so I'm probably exaggerating, but the basement reminded me of that scene in the Freddy Krueger movie, Nightmare on Elm Street or something,
Oh,
like where those,
yes.
I mean, there's this huge boiler,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm standing there, looking around, and I'm like, we need to get out of here. I don't like this, because this reminds me of Freddy Krueger, and I'm not down with this.
Wow.
Because
Oh.
if the Blue Lady, just came walking around the corner, well, I probably would have just, fell over myself trying to get out.
Oh, okay. So, okay, go on.
So we get back into the elevator. We go back up to the second floor, and then we go down the staircase to the first floor. And that's when the security guard comes in, and he's like, "Well, what are you all doing here?" And we were like, "Well, the door's open and the lights are on." And he was like, "I just locked the doors myself." So he had locked the front doors, which we had just entered, but they were unlocked.
Uh huh. Did he
So,
share anything with you?
no, he was like, "Well, y'all got to go because the building's closed now, and I got to do my rounds."
Oh, okay.
And the last thing I wanted to do was be arrested.
Wow.
But no, I myself have never had an encounter with the Blue Lady other than the stories, and a friend saying that he happened to see her in the window.
Hmm. Was that daytime or
But
night? Or day or night?
it would have been at nighttime, because it's always like the first thing people tell me that you see is like this faint blue out the corner of your eye, and then when you look, there she'll be for but a second.
Wow. That's well. I mean, okay. Now going back to Victoria versus the Blue Lady, I
Uh
think
huh.
I think Victoria is the more I don't know. I think she's the more, you can say she's more, we say Kolohe in Hawaiian, which means kind of like a rascal type spirit that, maybe very mischievous or something. But at the same time, some of the stuff you mentioned does seem rather spooky. So between the two, if I were to say
Yeah.
best ghost award, I would say, well, as far as scaring people or just wanting
Hmm.
attention, definitely
Yeah,
it would go to her. You know.
yeah, Victoria would be, for me, Victoria would be the campus celebrity.
Yes, 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 yes. And then, of course, quiet and brooding or whatever. If there was an award for that as a spirit, would go to the blue lady of that place.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing those stories about the that school that you went to. So, okay, so you're moving along in life and everything. And by the way,
Hmm.
let me see. Is Faye there? I thought I saw Faye, but we were talking. Faye Okamoto, Faye KO, thank you for being here tonight, my friend. You guys probably seen videos of me and Kay hanging out, and of course Faye hanging out, and of course I've interviewed her as well. So you're moving along in your life, my friend. And
Hmm.
what's the next thing that happens to you that kind of like puts you back into encountering things?
This would have happened about, it would have been on the same campus at EKU, and this would have been about one, two, maybe 5, 6 years later.
Okay.
Um, it would have been about so let's see, I started there my sophomore year in high school, so sophomore, junior, senior. Yeah, about 6 years later, I was living in a new dorm, and I had just returned from a birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
And I had parked my car in what the students called the big lot and was making my way across the main street back to my dorm. And as I was making my way back, I was walking by the science building when I happened to hear this weird sort of flute or pipe music. And I was looking around trying to figure out whether somebody was like up in the building in a window playing, or if somebody was like over in the bushes practicing for music class or something. And I happened to look up, and in this tree, there was this glowing ball of orange light. And I'm blinking and looking at it, and it looked like a beach ball. Like that was like what the size of it looked like up in this tree. And it was just sort of like just bobbing around. But it was glowing and it was orange.
That's unusual.
And
Okay, go on.
yeah, I mean it was very strange seeing this big orange orb. And then a few minutes late, not a few minutes later, but a little bit after that, there was these smaller lights that appeared. I mean, there was like 5 or 6 of them, and they were floating around the larger one. And they all just started bobbing around the treetop and then made their way across the street. And the whole time I'm just looking up watching this with my mouth open. And my eyes followed them as they made their way across the street over towards the library. And that was when I noticed there was this girl standing on the other side of the street. And she was looking up doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. And I yelled across at her, and I'm like, "Do you see that?" And she yells, "Yes, what is that? That is the creepiest thing I have ever seen." And we both are still standing there on opposite sides of the street watching as they vanish. And then she makes her way across the street to where I am, and she's like, "Can we just walk back to, the dorms together? Because that scared the hell out of me."
Wow. You know, I've heard a lot of different stories about orbs and interaction and the thing about orbs is that people are very critical about it. People think that it's something atmospheric and such, but I believe this is my take on orbs. Yeah, the atmospheric stuff exists, but then when orbs start showing like an intelligence about them and everything, like what you described, and then other orbs coming and being with that orb, and then they're moving in a specific direction, like they're going somewhere. That is something, uh, either a ghost or maybe with what we're going to be talking about as well, interdimensional. What do you think you
Yeah.
encountered?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What did you think you encountered?
I have no idea what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that it's just another cool experience that made me think that, wow, there really is something else out there. And it just, like, the girl was scared. But for me, I found it almost comforting to know that when we do pass on, this isn't all there is. That's what these experiences gave me.
Uh-huh. Wow. I know that with orbs too, that there's a color chart for them. I would have to look it up. I would have to look up what the color orange means because they connect to emotions and such. Fascinating
Okay.
stuff. Really fascinating. So I'm startled. Usually on the mainland too and other parts of the world, they have this thing called spook lights that show up, and they're
Yes.
usually white, you know, and
Yeah.
from a distance. But you saw this pretty up close, right?
Yes, and this wasn't really like here in Australia, I've experienced spook lights behind my house. Here they're called min min lights. And these are in the forest out back of our house where the pool is. But this one, I mean, these are like really bright, intense lights. But this one, it was just a soft orange color. Like this didn't seem to me like, one of those lights. This seemed and felt like something else.
I understand. I do. It's almost like saying that it's like an entirely different type of entity or something along those lines. But
Yeah.
okay. So moving right along, and I'm sure that left a very, I mean, you described everything in detail. It left a lasting impression with you.
Oh yeah.
What's the next thing that you encountered?
Oh yes. Now this one here, we did discuss. Was it Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember because our days are so like it would have been Saturday for me, but Friday for you.
Right.
Um, I was living uh, in an apartment, and I get a phone call from one of my friends, and she tells me to quickly get to her apartment. And this was several years later. I was probably, oh gosh, how old would I have been? 25, 26 at
Okay.
the time. So these things didn't happen to me like every day. Like, there was like jumps in time and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's, just because like we discussed, these things reveal themselves when they want to be seen. Um,
Exactly.
so I get a phone call from her. And so I get in my car and I go to her apartment. And my friend is Muslim. So she automatically said, these are jinns. So I got in my car, knock on her door, she lets me in, and the stairwell, up and down the stairwell of her apartment, there are shadows. Tall ones, short ones, thin ones, more robust ones. Just, it looked like multiple people walking up and down the staircase.
Wow. I know I said
And
that
the whole
several
time,
times. Go on.
and the whole time this is happening, I'm looking around going, okay, the windows, the curtains, like there's nothing, there's no reason for this to be happening. Like there are literally shadows of people. Like you could see the arms swinging as they're walking up and down the stairs. And they're humanoid in shape. Tall, like I said, tall ones, short ones, thin ones, more robust ones, just walking up and down the stairs. We probably sat there 45 minutes to an hour just watching this, and not once did either of us think to pull out our phones and record this. We were so caught up in that moment that all we wanted to do was experience it. I'm just like, this is the most fascinating thing ever. And we were the only two people in that apartment, and there was nothing that other than this being an experience. There was no explanation that I could find as to why there are shadows of multiple people just walking up and down. It was almost like it was a line, or just you know how certain spirits have like trails that they follow?
Mm-hmm.
This is what that felt like it was like just a path or an opening that the spirits are taking to get and go somewhere.
Awesome. And I mean, the one thing that pops into my head, well, two things actually. Well, let's see here. I kind of think maybe it might be, it sounds like, and I had a very gifted friend that we used to have conversations for like, I think 5, 6 hours about the paranormal. And being a psychic, she shared some experiences. And one of the things that she shared was, just these places that spirits are at, like they're, probably it's like a portal or something. They're traveling into our world or something along those lines. So, it's either something like that, but then again, it also reflects, just briefly, I'm going to say this. Um, and I had this belief for a while. I had, or I still have this belief that there's like these parallel universes, or what I would call paranormal universes that are out there. And I believe that there's probably not only things that we know of, but other things, other life forms. So one night, real quick, me and another friend, we encountered this glowing uh, creature that we saw. And the same thing, I just wanted to, I brought that up with you the other day, is,
Mm-hmm.
we saw this for X amount of time, whatever amount of time that was. And then it was gone. And it was extraordinary what happened. But just like you guys, we never pulled out our cameras. We were so caught up in what we were experiencing. I don't think it was even shock. It was just you're caught up in that moment of what's going on in front of your eyes. So, but in that case, I can assure you, this did not look like anything of this world. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that is like a interdimensional type being. So I'm thinking either it might be a portal, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
interdimensional type beings that were traversing, moving around, from different planes and everything. And for some reason or another, uh, you folks were able to witness it. That's what I think. What's your thoughts on that?
Anything is possible. I mean, that's I've always believed that. Ever since having these experiences, I'm always waiting for what's next. What are you going to show me next?
Hmm.
Um, I find it incredibly fascinating that because after it all faded away and it stopped,
Right.
I look over at her and I'm like, why didn't we pick up? What did you record this? Did you take a photo? And we're both just looking at each other like we never even thought to get out our phones and take a picture. It's almost like there is just, I don't know whether there's influence where you just where that's like taken from your mind, or you're like you said, you're just so caught up in the experience that nothing else matters except experiencing what's happening.
Exactly. That's exactly what I think it is. 1 second, please. Melody, I didn't see. Well, I saw you coming in, but was having the conversation here. Good to have you here, my friend, and anyone else that's watching right now. And again, thank you for the likes. Really, really appreciate it. And when you give likes, it's not just to the channel. It's also because of the guests that we have on. So thank you so much for the likes. Thank you for the like that you gave just now. Whoever gave that. Um, for real, I just there's just so many things out there to I guess you just have to process when you see it in front of your eyes. The amazing thing though with your situation, this went on for like about 45 minutes or so, you said, right?
Yeah, it kept, because I kept thinking to myself, well, how long is it's just, well, I wasn't even thinking that. It's like, well, how long is this going to go for? We were literally sitting there just watching it. I mean, just all these different shadows
Right.
of people
Right.
walk. That there was no sound. It was just the shadows moving up and down the staircase,
I want to
and it was just the neatest, well, one of the neatest things ever.
let me ask you something. Well, how did it end? Did they just kind of dissipate or something?
It slowly faded. it's like they're moving and you can see them, and then it's like it faded, like it stopped. It just slowly faded away, like well, it's like watching a shadow slowly disappear when the sun starts to move up.
Wow. There's another thing that
Um,
I know that I was talking about. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
mhm.
Continue. Go ahead.
No, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
I was
So,
finished.
okay. Lately, me and my friend Kay and such, and I found out that I've been experiencing them since I was a child. But
Hmm.
what this also brings to mind is shadow people. They're very much notoriously known to show up for no reason. That you can't figure out what. Well, either they show up for no reason, you can't figure out why they're there, or they're very, very scary and they will terrify you intentionally. People, and using the word people because I think for the most part, although there are other stories about them, they kind of show up singularly, just by themselves. But these might be shadow, quotation marked people, and what I can also possibly see as putting into the idea of what may have happened to you. Anything else
Hmm.
like that ever happened in your life? Seeing shadows or anything like that?
Um, no, no. I can't think of anything. Like these are just random moments in my life where the other side has revealed itself.
Hmm. Do you think that there's a reason why they show themselves to you?
Maybe because sometimes when, how do I put it? It's like I've always wanted to know. Like I'm always reading, I'm always researching. There's always something new to learn. And I guess this is just one of those ultimate mysteries. And they're like, well, here, let's reveal some of that mystery to you, and then you got to work for it.
That makes sense. Let me see here. Melody, it's fine that you're a bit late, my friend. No problem. Faye KL said I had to light Senko tonight. Saw something. Shadow people. I know that. I have to say that to Faye because I think she has a shadow man in her residence.
I
And
remember seeing that video where she was talking about somebody that would appear in the hallway over her corner during one of your live feeds.
oh wow, thank you for watching those. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, it was very fascinating. The whole time I kept looking over her shoulder,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, okay, is it going to show itself? Is it going to show itself?
Yeah, we'll see what happens when we interview her again. If anything pops up in her um, on her end of the screen. Incredible. I mean, all of the stuff you've been sharing, absolutely fascinating. So, anything else before you went to Australia?
Let me think. Nothing that I can really think of. I mean, nothing other than what I've already shared.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it was just certain instances. I do get feelings and things every now and then, but other than seeing or witnessing anything, no. But then the moment when I came to Australia, that's when really, well, already what happened was weird, but this is like weird on a whole nother level, like high strangeness, I guess you could say.
Okay, well, let's talk about the high strangeness that happened in your life. So, at some point in time, you moved to Australia, and let's hear about what
Hmm.
happened over there.
So I moved to Australia in late 2018 and been here ever since because I can't get back home because of, the pandemic and there being no flights in or out because our borders are still closed here.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, I'm pretty sure our borders are still closed. Like, I don't think anybody's coming in other than New Zealand, I think.
Okay.
Um, but I moved from America to Australia in 2018. I built a home with my partner here in far north Queensland, and we moved into the house well, it would be summer for you all, but winter for us of 2019.
Okay.
because everything's backwards here. But I tell them everything's backwards here. It's like, no, you're backwards. So it's this whole big argument I have with my partner that he does everything backwards, and he's always going, no, you're the one who's backwards.
We have an Aussie here. We have an Australian citizen, I believe. Aussie Tiger. Nice to see you. Tonight we're talking with a wonderful guest that is now residing in Australia, and we're about to talk about Australia. So, Aussie Tiger, your timing is really good. Okay, so you are now in Australia, and
Yes.
what's some of the early stuff that happened to you while you were there?
Well, we built our home in a part of the Daintree rainforest.
Hmm.
And so we are surrounded by the forest, and the Coral Sea is literally about 50 meters through the bush. Um, and when we moved into the house, we slowly started landscaping the place over the next year. We added trees, flower gardens, fountain, fencing, concreting all around the house, and a pool. And then the weird stuff started happening in 2020. I
Okay.
would say roughly around April. So it was just at the end or the tail end of the wet season, basically. And so then my first encounter was with what the locals here refer to as midnight lights, or as we call them back home in Kentucky, spook lights.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And these little balls of light, like I had woken up and I don't know what time it was, I never looked, and there was this light in the forest. And I am like, what is that? Because it was blinking like in and above, like in between the trees and, stuff like that, like this big bright light. And I am like, is somebody out there? And as I kept thinking to myself, well, I'm like, okay, because where we are, where the house is situated, and you
Mm-hmm.
go down the bank to where the water is, that's about a 2, 3 meter drop. So if somebody's out there walking around with a really, really bright torch, they'd have to be anywhere between 10 to 12 feet tall because that's where this light's coming from. It's coming from like literally up in the trees.
Wow. For the 10th time.
Uh,
Wow. Yeah.
and so how do we see here? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I started getting static for some weird reason.
Maybe because of what
You'll
we're
have,
talking
yeah, you'll,
about. I don't know.
you'll have to
Maybe.
bear with me. Sometimes Telstra here, that their mobile network, sometimes it messes up. Um,
What
and
is
then
that
sometimes,
noise? Is that a
I'm sorry.
bird? Is that a bird or something I hear in the background?
Yes, that would be one of our birds.
Fantastic. Love the bird. Absolutely. Hello, cutie, whoever you are. That is so
yeah,
nice.
he's out there on the light post.
What kind of bird?
I That wasn't a kookaburra.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been one of those. Oh gosh, what are they called? Uh, oh my gosh, it's like a rainbow kind of bird. Like it's green with red and orange feathers.
Ooh.
Um, I forget. I don't know what those are called.
I would love to see a picture of that. If you ever get one, post it on the group.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If I ever get one, definitely. And so that's the first time I saw the lights. And then a couple nights later, I happened to see it again. And I'm like, what is that? Well, then I wake up a few nights later, and my partner he's standing at the window, and he's like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, thank God, now you see it too. I'm not the only one. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but back home we refer to those as spook lights. And so well, he was going to go outside and investigate. I'm like, oh my God, are you stupid? You never follow the spook lights. Oh my gosh, they might lead you into the water and there's crocodiles in there. Don't go outside, you'll get mesmerized.
Oh, that's words of wisdom. Let me take a look at the audience here. We have people coming in. Uh, yeah, Ozzy. Just to let you know, again, I'm sorry. What's the name of the rainforest you live by?
The Daintree.
The Dentry. That's where our guest lives. Kelsey, it's good to see you. Oh my God, We have I Believe in Ghosts here tonight. I haven't seen you in forever, my friend. I hope you're doing well. And Evie, peace to you too. For those of you that are joining us late, and by the way, Carol, you're very welcome with what you said. Yeah, I love to have you folks play catch up. Let's see here. Also, he already knows. Okay, so for 9 months, I was living just south of the rainforest in a town called Maribi. Maribi. Okay, cool. I hope you're doing well, my friend. It's been a while since I've seen you. I believe in ghosts. Uh, we used to talk a lot in the past. Okay, so getting back to tonight, for those of you that are coming in late, and no problem with that at all. I mean, I love having you here. We're talking about ghosts and interdimensional beings. I think we talk a lot about ghosts so far. I think we're shifting towards the interdimensional being stuff. We have been for about maybe about 15 minutes or so. So anyway, guys, let's continue the topic here with our wonderful guest. So you had another incident that happened.
Yes.
Okay.
That's when my partner saw the lights. And so he was going to go outside and investigate. And I'm like, you're not going outside. Are you crazy? They'll lead you off and you'll die or something. I
Yeah.
was like, and, and then later on, I started noticing like I would be sitting at the television and I would see like large shadows out the corner of my eye move across the property. And it only took place in one area where they would appear and vanish.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I'd be sitting there and it's like this large shadow would just zip across my vision very quickly. Like it wasn't like slow, like it was very, very fast. Like if I blinked, I would miss it.
Oh, that's wow. You know, I
Yeah,
have to. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
I'm sorry, and this happens frequently, like with the shadows out there. Like I'll be sitting there, and it's like, and it'll just move very quickly back and forth, but it's only in that one area. It's between the fence and the pillar of our patio. It's just that area right there between the fence and that pillar. Nowhere else, just right there.
Hmm. Um, big shadow, small, or
Big, I mean large.
that's
I mean,
scary.
I'm trying to think. I mean, it would have to be like around, I want to say 8, 9 feet maybe. I mean, it's a large, dark shadow that would just move very, very quickly.
Do you think in any way at all that there is a connection of some type with these entities? I mean, from the one you saw in the States and what you're experiencing now, or this is completely different?
It could be the same or it could be completely different. It's, I don't know. But I find it incredibly fascinating.
Maybe a Nephilim. There's a lot of stories about giants as well. I mean, I've experienced them here, and it's interesting that you talk about lights
Uh
because
huh.
sometimes when I am out at a particular location as well, this place that I'm talking about interdimensional stuff, is a place where vortexes and I think actually time portals or time shifts take place, and
Mm-hmm.
I've seen white lights like what you're describing in like the trees and stuff. They're like there for a bit and then they're gone. And what's
Yeah.
interesting is they're like pretty high up in the air. I'm like, whoa, look at that, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
luckily someone else sees it as well. So
Yeah. I mean, lots of people. I mean, even the locals have told me that they have seen them.
that's and they have a name for it. Did they also I know that you mentioned the name, but do they also have an idea what these lights represent?
It depends on who you speak to because they're known, like I said, as Min lights, and some believe that they are spirits of the ancestors, and the that would be of the Aboriginal people, is what some of the locals have told me, and even a couple of my Indigenous coworkers had told me that these lights. would be their ancestors.
Oh, let's see what Michael said, or Michael. I believe in ghosts. Sometimes the lights are a signal from a spirit that wants to contact. That's interesting. I mean, I guess when you're there and we're here, they try to, and that's why I think some of the poltergeist activity and stuff happens is just not only to try and scare you, but in some way to get your attention. So who knows?
Mm. Yeah.
Maybe that's happening at your property.
Mm.
Maybe they see something
Yeah.
in you and they want to communicate.
It could be. It's and then let's see here. Like later on,
Right.
that's when like I know how in America, like in the U.S. or even Canada as well, that they have what is called tree knocking.
Yes, yes, very much so.
So we have that here also because I will be in bed of the night and my partner will be asleep and I'll be awake. And it's like I will hear this loud thump coming that sounds like something is banging against a tree trunk.
Wow. Could it be?
And this happens ever so often. And of course, where I live and stuff, we do have neighbors, but nobody here would know what my interests are or would be out doing that to try and scare me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
So it would be so when I started hearing that, and I was like, okay, this is very familiar to being back home in the U.S.
Well, in the U.S., what you're describing is signs of Bigfoot, and they
Yes,
communicate that way. You think that is it called a Yowie or something up there where you're at? You think it might be something like that that's happening?
that is what the locals here in the town have told me. That the Yowie is very prominent throughout Australia. And in the Daintree. They have told me that there have been many instances of Yowies being there, and especially in between the Daintree and a place called Port Douglas, there have been Yowie sightings. Well, this man was coming home late at night. I mean, you can probably Google this, Yowie sighting Port Douglas, and the article will probably pop up. But the man was coming home late at night from getting off his ship. He was either getting off work or coming home from the pub. I can't remember which. But one ran out in front of him on the road.
That, oh boy. Yeah, it seems like these type of entities. Interesting enough to let me just say this real quick. Oh, by the way, thank you for the likes, guys. We really appreciate that, especially for our guests here tonight. Um, there's even stories, and since they're so similar, right? These type of ape-like creatures. There's been stories
Mm.
about them. Like I remember reading this back in the day about like Bigfoot and stuff coming out of alien spacecraft. So
Mm.
that's how bizarre this. And there's also the Indians believe, the Native American Indians believe that they are an actual spirit, a guardian of the forest,
Yes.
and they have abilities. Like they can teleport and stuff. Did you ever hear anything about
Hmm.
that?
I have heard that from friends and people back home saying that Bigfoot would be like an elemental guardian,
Yes.
uh, quasi dimensional. I guess is the term. I don't know what the term is. Quasi physical, quasi dimensional.
Hmm.
And I've even had friends say that they would never go into the woods unless they had a gun on them. And I'm like, well, if Bigfoot is this elemental, quasi dimensional being, do you really think a gun is going to help you?
Good point. Absolutely good point. And
And now that you,
I'm sorry.
sorry,
Please go right ahead.
and now that you mentioned that, let me backtrack. I actually now remember that I did have an experience, like a Bigfoot experience, back when I was
Ooh.
I want to say I was 12 at the time. But, being that age, and having a wild imagination. I was, uh, let's see, it was Wednesday night, so it was, what's it called? Church study. So Granny had taken me to church with her, and my cousin, she actually lived across from the church. And now, mind you, the church has a cemetery also, but nothing weird ever happened with that because it's a very peaceful church. So there was never any sort of paranormal happenings there that I can remember as a child.
Okay.
Like I said, nothing as far as what happened until I was like, 15, 16 years old. But this now struck a chord with me because we were out playing in the field, the big open field across from the church where the barn is. And it was a big old barn. And beyond the barn was probably miles and miles and miles of forest. Because we're up on a huge hill surrounded by forest. And we're running along playing and laughing. And then all of a sudden, we both just stopped. We both just stopped. And I remember there was this sense of like, just something's not right. And we happened to look towards the tree line and we see this huge dark shape. And it's not moving, but it's there. We can see it and we can feel it. And then I remember, because we both just started like wrinkling our noses because there was this really, really bad smell.
Uh-oh.
Really, really bad smell. And then I remember like she started getting really, really scared. And I was like, don't move. Don't move. Because my dad, because growing up with a hunter and a farmer, my dad was always like, when you run, you're prey. So I told her, I'm like, don't run. Don't just stop, stand still. And we're both standing there and it's not moving. Well, then it just slowly starts to disappear, like not disappear, but like move back into the brush, and we could hear like this twig snap, and then the birds started chirping again.
Wow.
Yeah, so that talking about this just brought that back. Like that is actually, yeah, I was I was 12 years old when that happened.
The way you
whether
describe that is incredible. Continue. Go ahead.
it was just very like, and then once it vanished, we both slowly made our way back across the field underneath the fence to where her house was. And then we went over to the church and we got my cousin Jennifer, and I started talking to her and I said, we almost got in trouble because we were on private property and we never should have been there anyway. But being kids, what do? You break all the rules. And so I was telling her what happened, and she was like, because we told her about the smell, and that's what verified it to her that it possibly could have been Bigfoot, because she's watched all those documentaries and stuff. And being 12 years old, I'm like, well, what the heck's a Bigfoot?
Exactly. Well, I mean, they're pretty well known. I know, was it 1967, the Roger Patterson film? That's probably the most incredible piece of footage we have ever to this day, that this entity exists, this creature exists. It's just the way. You seen it? Have you seen the video?
Oh yeah, I've seen the video multiple times.
It's incredible.
It's the way that it moves, the way that it walks, the way you can see the muscles shifting. It's very, very intriguing.
It's convincing. It really is. And I know they tried to replicate it. They had Hollywood makeup effects artists create a suit to look like it. And when you look at that versus what they were doing, it was just like night and day, completely, absolutely different. You can't replicate that kind of stuff. And we're talking about modern day stuff versus something that happened in 1967, which is incredible.
That was like, what now, 60, 70 years ago?
Yes, something like that.
I'm horrible with math. My math was not my strong suit.
No, that's okay. Along the lines of like 60 or something like that. Yes, definitely. And so what you were describing, and I know that Ozzy just chimed in and said, sounds like a Yowie. I believe it. I believe it. It does sound like that. And these are, I think these are all, like even the Yeti that Kelsey was talking about in Tibet, which is also
Yeah.
referred to, I believe, from the very famous um, set of footprints that were found in the Himalayas in the 50s, I think it was. They call him
Mm.
also the abominable snowman. But I believe, and there's all different types. Trust me, there's a whole bunch of different types. So I believe they all kind of more or less belong to the same species or something, or the same family lineage of some type. That's
Yeah,
my
possibly.
yeah. I really believe that. Let's see here. Let me stop and look at some of the things people are
Hmm.
saying, because this conversation is getting really cool for the last well, since we started. Okay, so let's see here. Um, by the way, those of you that are greeting are people that are coming, or the people that are coming in. Thank you for that. And yeah, if you like, feel free to subscribe. This channel is one that does many different things, and one of them is having fantastic guests like the one we have right now. There's a YouTube
Thank you.
channel that was created by PBS that talks about monsters. The host of the YouTube show is a professor, and she talks about monsters from all around the world. Oh, there is so many different types. There's
Hmm.
even in parts of the world where dinosaurs are still being experienced to this day.
Oh, that's here.
Oh, where you're at? Okay, let's talk about that here in a
Well,
second. Yeah.
yeah, not where I'm at, but like out in the middle of Australia, like in the desert regions. People say that there is a dinosaur walking about, like there have been sightings.
That's just absolutely intriguing to think that for some reason or another, the past still lives side by side with us in some way, shape, or
Well,
form.
Australia is a very, very ancient place. I mean, there are some places here that where the rock setting is like 500 million years old. I know in a place where one of the places where I went to work,
Hmm.
they had found the fossils of a plesiosaur.
Wow. I keep saying
You
that
know,
word.
and this is high up in an area that the ocean hasn't touched in millions upon millions of years.
Yeah, I always considered Australia to be a very ancient place, really, really ancient. So the crocodile, according to Ozzy, is an ancient dinosaur. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I believe it.
yeah,
Absolutely
yeah. They
believe it.
survived the dinosaurs.
So, with your property, anything else
Mhm.
really weird happens over there, you think?
Well, here on our property, there would be like, booms and bangs against the outside of our house.
Mm-hmm.
The beat, like, this has only happened once. And the beating and banging was coming from the other side of the wall behind our bed.
Wow.
And it would be like, and I kept thinking to myself, what if it's a bat? What if it's a bird? But it's like when I would go outside. Now, mind you, our home is built to withstand a Category 5 cyclone. So we have very, very thick, strong walls.
Mm-hmm.
So I was inside. No, I wasn't. I was outside. Shannon was inside. And he was listening as I banged my fist against the wall. Like, not but bang against the wall. And you couldn't hear it.
I just heard creaking.
That would have been a kookaburra.
Okay, just making sure since the topic is very much.
Yeah, that would have been
Yes. Okay, good.
Sorry, I apologize for my neighbors.
No, I just had a Victoria flashback, like the one when you said she opened the door and everything. So
um,
that's cool.
but yeah, so he was inside, I was outside, and I was banging against the wall, and you couldn't hear it because the walls are so thick. And so I'm thinking, so whatever was banging on the outside of the wall had to be very, very strong. And so it couldn't have, because even if a bird or a bat had slammed into the wall, well, it would have broke its neck. And our property is enclosed with locked gates. So there would have been evidence of something if something had struck the wall. And there was no dirt, there was no rocks, there was like no prank. I mean, it couldn't have been a prank because there would have been evidence of that. And this happened 3 times. We would go back inside and get back into bed, and it would happen again. So we would go back outside, nothing. We get back into bed, it would happen again. So something outside, or just something on the property, an energy on the property was being mischievous.
You know what popped into my head? That
What?
large shadow that you were talking about.
It could be. I mean, it could possibly be. I mean, it sounded like it was like thump, 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 thump. And we would get up and go out there, and there would be nothing on that side of the house. And like I said, the whole thing is gated, so, and nothing can, nothing, it wasn't a human, let's just put it that way. It wasn't a human, and it wasn't an animal. Because there would have been evidence if it had been a human throwing a rock. I mean, even if they threw a rock, I mean, they would have to have a lot of power behind that in order for us to even hear it. Because, like I said, the walls are built to withstand a Category 5 cyclone.
Wow, incredible. Welcome, Abdullah Hagar. I captured a ghost once. It paid my rent for 2 years. Can you kind of like expand on that? What you're talking
How
about?
did you how did you get to sign a contract?
Yeah, how do you get your ghost to pay rent for you? Let's see here.
I
Oh
need
wait, oh wait.
tips.
Yeah. Let's look back at some of the things that people are saying. Yes, chickens are dinosaurs, or birds are dinosaurs. And then Quinico Kid said creepy bird, referring to the kookaburra, I think. So, yeah, I mean, you live in a very interesting place, my friend. Very, very interesting. There's Yahwehs, there's other types of presence, entities,
Hmm.
and everything else. Have you
Yes,
have
very
you
much so.
have you encountered anything besides at home, like at work or anything at all?
Now that you bring that up, I do have 3 instances. Well, I take that back. Now there would be 5 instances. 3 of those I have experienced, and 2 by separate coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
And let me turn the light on because it is actually starting to get dark here. Give me just a second.
Okay.
Let me.
If anything happens while we're live streaming, let me know.
Yes.
I would love to. I would love to
this
I would love to interview your large shadow. If yeah, but yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
It's fine. So this is due to privacy issues. I can't share the exact location of my place of work, so I do apologize for that for anybody who's interested. Um, but these are 3 things that happened. Um, okay, how do I put this? It's okay. So my first experience takes place just as I arrived at work that morning. I'm in our little kitchen area fixing myself a cup of tea when one of my coworkers just so happens to walk by me. And I see her, I recognize her, I know exactly who she is. And I greet her. I'm like, "Good morning, how are you?" And she doesn't respond to me. And she walks right by me and goes out the office door and leaves.
Uh
And
huh.
I think that either she hadn't heard me, or she was just having a bad morning, or she was on her way to get caffeine. Because, like, a lot of my coworkers, they can't function unless they got caffeine. Like, you say good morning to them, they're like, "Oh, man," it's really funny.
Uh huh.
um, and so I asked one of my coworkers, well, what was that about? Was she in a bad mood? What's going on? And as it turns out, that coworker that I had just saw had called in and was working from home. And the drive up the mountain range to where I work at is 15, 25 minutes, depending on traffic. So she was never in that office.
Huh. Okay. That's something to really think about there for a second. I mean, there's so many things. We're talking interdimensional and such. Astral projection comes to mind. I mean, there's just it could
Yeah.
it could be anything. It could be a shape shifting type being or something. But wow, what was your impression of that? Just to
I was like, okay, am I going in between time here? Am I reliving something? Is this an energy I'm picking up? So when I spoke to my indigenous coworkers about this and told them about my experience, they referred to it as a how do I pronounce it? I can't remember. A quinkin? A quinkin?
okay,
So it's a type of entity from the dream time.
hmm, the dream time.
Yeah, so it's like I guess it could be something along the lines of a doppelganger, I guess.
Oh, those are not good. Yeah,
And and then my second experience takes place just after my partner drops me off at the local grocery store, which is about a minute walk from the office. And I am making my way back down to it when I happen to see another coworker sitting in her car talking on her cell phone. And of course, I know who she is. I recognize her face. I know what her car looks like. I mean, there was no mistaking it. And as I'm walking by, she looks up and smiles at me and waves, and I smile and wave back to her. And I make my way back into the office, go into the main room, and then there she is at her desk, taking a sip from her coffee mug.
okay. Yeah, you have something going on, definitely with that.
Yeah.
Do you tell these people that you just seen them somewhere or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I tell them this. And of course, most don't believe me. But the indigenous do. They believe me. They're like, oh, yes, this happens.
Wow.
And then the third time this happened, I'm not alone this time. My coworker and I are heading back inside the office
Hmm.
when we happen to see our other coworker's wife walking towards the door. And she's wearing this white dress with pink floral patterns. And I open the door and I hold it for her, and my coworker and I greet her. We both see her, we both know who she is. She thanks us for holding the door for her. She walks out and she goes up the hill. And the office only has one entrance, and we're on the second floor. And we both make our way back into the main room, and there she is, standing with her husband. Same woman, same white dress with the same pink floral patterns. And we're both looking at each other like, what the hell is going, So we both go over, and of course her husband's like, well, she's been here for 20 minutes. She hasn't walked out.
That's crazy. Let's see what is being said out there in Chatland. Uh, yeah, Abdul. I had an idea that you were joking. I was just kind of going along with it. Let's see. Kelsey said that what you're talking about is spooky. Carla says going to try some spirit box will run this brother. Uh, Koniko says Filipino has a ghost that mimics ghosts. Forgot what they call what the Philippines and their spirits are terrifying.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, I've read. Yes,
it's
scary stuff.
it's crazy. Um, they have an army of different types of beings and spirits. It's just mind-boggling. Okay,
They
Carol
have a whole
said,
militia.
"Oh yeah, they do." Carol says, "Okay, I think that the coworker was so focused on her work that she projected a hom- homunculus of herself. I'm not too sure what that is. It's a new word for me. I learned a lot from my guests and from the chat.
What did your
Homun,
guest say? A what?
a hom,
Oh, a
a,
homunculus.
a homunculus. Yeah, there you go. Little tongue twister for me. Yeah, I never heard of that before. It's all brand new to me, but that's why I like being on these live streams. It's like I'm a student, I'm learning along with everyone else. But yeah, maybe that is. That could very well be the case.
I'm
Maybe.
trying to think. The only thing I can remember about a homunculus is that Japanese anime that I watched. Oh, what's it called? It's where it's these two brothers and they're magicians, and one loses his body and has to live in this mechanical machine.
Oh,
Um,
Full Metal Alchemist.
yes, that's where that term is resonating from.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it again, it almost is similar to, like, when people astral project when they're asleep and stuff. Maybe she went into a meditative state and did some kind of astral projection of some type. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Who knows? And the fourth time this happened, my
Ooh,
coworker
fourth
and
time.
another coworker,
Mm-hmm.
she and her are both outside, and and the other one holds the door for a third coworker who exits the building. Well, then they both go back inside, and then the coworker comes walking out of the back room and greets them. Well, it scares the hell out of both of them.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then the fifth time this happened,
Ooh, fifth
this was
time.
actually, yeah, this was last week when this happened. A female indigenous coworker experienced it. She was outside, and she had seen one of my coworkers walk out and go around the back of the building and go downstairs. Now, mind you, you can't enter the building from that side of the building or from downstairs. You have to walk back up, come back around, and go into the main door. There's only one entrance and one exit. So when she goes back inside, there he is at his desk.
Huh. I wonder if this is the case of what we're talking about, or maybe it's just one specific entity that's very good at fooling people. You just don't
It
know.
could be. It
Yeah.
could, because my coworker, who is indigenous, and she tells me that there is something about downstairs. There is something about the energy in the basement that goes through the hallway in the basement and goes around the corner to where the bathroom is.
Here we go at the bathroom stuff.
Yes.
Right?
It
Oh,
all goes
jeez.
back to the bathroom. It
It all
all
goes
goes
back to
back
the
to the
bathroom.
bathroom.
Let's see here. Kelsey is saying Japan has a ghost that appears. It'd be a beautiful young lady. I think I know what this is about. Oh, yeah, wearing a face mask. Definitely the same thing. She'll appear to you and ask you if you think she's beautiful. If you say yes, she'll remove her mask and ask you the same question. Yeah, and either one is not a good thing.
Mm.
That ghost is very, very famous. Japan is another place like the Philippines where I don't know. Tell you the truth, if I look at Japanese ghosts and the Philippine ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
and that they both have really scary stuff, really incredible.
Oh
and,
yeah.
and then there's shared ghosts, like they have a famous white lady in the Philippines. We have one here. I just did a live stream about
Mm-hmm.
one that my friend may have saw, and we did a spirit box on that. Bathrooms are portals. Koniko Kid said, "Who knows?"
Yeah,
Um,
it's possible.
that's a very bizarre type of portal. I don't want to know where the openings come from, but anyway, I don't know why I said that. Excuse me, guys. Yeah, that just came out of nowhere. No, no, that's not the question. She's saying that the spirit will ask you the same question about. Well, she's very tricky. She asked you. You can read up about it. It's a very.
I mean, if you say yes, she shows you her face. But what
Yeah.
happens if you say no?
In either event, as far as I know, it ends up being very bad for you.
Oh
there's
gosh.
and there's
Okay.
one answer that you're supposed to give that absolutely dumbfounds her, so she doesn't do anything at all.
Mm.
There's a toilet ghost in Japan,
Uh huh.
and if you depending on the type of, it'll ask you what color toilet paper you have, but it'll still end up being nasty for you.
Mm.
And I don't know if it comes from an opening. Anyway,
Mm.
let's see
Mm.
here.
Yeah.
Kelsey's like, oh
Once
yeah,
if she ever like if I ever go to Japan run into her and she asks me if I think she's pretty, I'm just gonna say I'm gay.
There you go. That totally negates it. She cannot do anything, at all. I'll just tell her I like, I just like to give people hugs and don't hug me. And that's it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's it. No
It's like
hugs.
maybe.
Yeah. No hugs from the psychotic spirit. Um, let's see here. Uh, Diabolic Gamer 81, welcome to the live stream. Kanako is also found in the girls' bathroom. Yes, that's it.
Oh, Hanako, that's her name.
Hanako, yeah, yeah. She's crazy. A lot of these spirits are crazy. You don't want to mess with the bathroom
Mm.
ghosts or the one wandering around, and there's like a whole bunch of them. You can read about Japanese spirits for a very long time, and you're only scratching the surface. And
Yeah, aren't they known as like Ayakashi or yokai?
yokai is a different type of entity. It's more like along the lines of supernatural creatures and stuff.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like the Yuri and the Obake and stuff, that kind of falls into the category of ghosts, although Obake also means unknown things, stuff like
Okay.
that. Yeah. But yeah, the Yuri are the vengeful spirits that people are afraid of. See, hold on one second.
Hmm.
Uh, Aristocat, good to see a good one from Aristocat. Autocorrect from Diabolic Gamer. That's cool. And Faye said something funny. Pretty girls love to hang out with gays and with gays though. LOL. It is true. It is very, very true. And except I don't think this spirit is pretty. I would not say that it's pretty. I typed Hanako, but autocorrect loves changing it.
Mm.
It's really interesting that those type of spirits exist. So with what happened with the, so I guess you can safely say that you don't know what to expect when you go to work now.
Yeah, it's like anything can happen because where I work at is like a place where the locals are so eccentric, their characters. There is a lot of like mediumship, tarot readers, lots of crystal shops and things like that. So it's a very new agey, and it's in the rainforest. So it's a very eclectic place where with a lot of energy.
Is the rainforest known to be that? By the way, thank you guys for the likes. Is it known to be something like that?
Well, I guess because the rainforest is such a well, I guess it's just it's high pure energy. I mean, just pure life force.
Oh, cool.
So it's I don't really know how to explain it. It's just I don't know. It's like you go outside and you're surrounded by blue skies and all this greenery and fresh air.
Uh huh.
It's a very very energetic magical place.
I would love to see videos on it and such, and maybe one day visit, depending on how things are with this dang
Oh well,
pandemic.
I'll take photos and send them to you.
Excellent. I really would love to see that. Maybe you can pick up
Mm.
on some vibes over there and stuff. Let's see. Hanako is adorable if spooky. Yeah, so adorable that she will kill you. Um, Koniko Kira, in regards to pretty girls hanging out with gays. Yes, they do. Um, it's not autocorrect, it's auto incorrect. That's true. Uh, Carol A says, with ghosts who are seen as different people, some people think they are demons. Stop right there. I honestly believe, we look at all the light and everything and stuff. And I mean, I get, from some people, and I did say it before, they just kind of get a little bit upset when I say that there is this whole dark side to everything. and
Oh,
you need,
there's always an opposite.
yeah, there always is. And, we need to acknowledge both. We need to acknowledge their strengths and even their weaknesses or whatever the case. But keep in mind that all of these entities, I'm sure that there are some that mean well, but if you piss them off, it's a whole different ball of wax at that point. So If it's a spirit or anything else out there that we do not truly understand, respect it for what it is. Be very aware that they can do anything at any time. I've been to locations where I'm pretty much like set for the night. I think that, I have things figured out, and they pull another card out of that deck you mentioned earlier. And it's the Ace of Spades, and that's an ugly situation. It's absolutely ugly when it happens. So just keep that in mind, folks. And I know even people that are like trying to reach out or have an answer to tarot card readings or whatever your brand is to do that, be very careful. I mean, it's bad enough I play with the S box. You have to follow protocol. And even when you do, you hope that it works. It's just like we talk about spirit guides and everything. And I really believe in them because I call upon St. Michael for protection and stuff. But sometimes I also believe that life plays out the way it does because you're meant to experience something if you are sticking your hand in the cookie jar and it doesn't belong there. You're going to experience something as a result, and it's going to be a learning curve, and it's not going to be a nice learning curve. And this is where the criticism comes in, or whatever the thinking is. I've heard it, and I've also sensed it in people. Because we want to have all the things the way we want it to be. But if we have those things in life, how the hell are we supposed to progress and learn as well? Now, no way am I saying go play with these things. Don't, I say don't. I play with them, and I'll be the first to tell you I'm a damn idiot. But if it can serve some type of purpose to show people don't be an idiot, then that's fine, because these things are extremely dangerous. That's why at the end, when you well, I'm not so sure about tarot card readings, but any way to interact with the other side, we always say goodbye, and we hope the goodbye works. We really, truly do hope the goodbye works. And so I just wanted to throw that in there. Let's all see the paranormal for what it is, the beauty, the wonder of it, but also there's no shame in saying it's a scary scenario at times. So, and of course, you've experienced scary as well. Yeah, you have experienced scary things. And
yes, I have experienced some things that have made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Yes.
that big shadow. If I saw a big shadow show up on my property, I'd be kind of concerned. I mean, it could be anything, but I'd still be concerned.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, and that's the interesting thing is that it's always outside. It's never inside, which is a good thing. And I'm not complaining.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what someone has said here. Don't mind the question. I saw the answer. That's from Carol. Yeah, I believe some of them are demons. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of times when they're demons because they're really good at what they do and they can fool us. We think we have our third eye always working in the way we want it to, but they know how to mess with that too and just blindside you. No pun intended. Kolohe means mischievous, rascally pranksters. Yes, it does. Sorry, sometimes English eludes me. I agree with that. Diabolic Gamer Girl 81 says, please don't piss off any spirits or demons off. I say this to anyone who does things with paranormal situations. And I entirely agree with you on that. Kelsey says, I had a friend that accidentally put a love spell on him and his ex. He claims he found a spell book and out of curiosity read it out loud from it. He warned me never to mess with spell books. Diabolic Gamer Girl 81 says they can hurt you. I believe that's true too. Kelsey is saying, mind you, he's an unbeliever of magic. Diabolic Gamer Girl 81, not trying to scare anyone. I just want you all to stay safe. You know what? Thank you for saying the word magic. I would like to do a show on magic.
That would be interesting.
I think that would be very, very interesting to hear people's opinion. As a matter of fact, I need to get a hold of, contact my guest that's going to be doing the show on Jinn. I know you mentioned Jinn earlier. And
yes.
They pop up. They do pop up. And they're one of them that can be very, very hostile.
Yes, depending on, because Jinn, Ifrit, there's so many different ones. The Shaitan.
Yes, there's so many different ones. So we'll see what happens with that. Anything else to add to that, or are we pretty good for now?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Okay.
This has been a lot of fun.
This has been great. Absolutely fun. I agree with you. Let's see. Magic and Wicca. Yeah. Well, yeah. I would like to hear. I mean, that's what this show is for. I mean, we do focus on the paranormal and its many different outlets.
Hmm.
So maybe if I can find a guest that does that kind of stuff. By the way, if anyone out there knows of people that are quite interesting to you and also interesting in sharing stuff, let me know about it, guys. You can reach me at obakehunter51@gmail.com. All lowercase, OBAKEHUNTE 51 at gmail.com. Check that out as well. Or you can reach me at Facebook, Obaki Hunter, and then just drop me a line. Just talk to me in my messenger and stuff like that. And we can probably put a show together. I want to do a show on magic. I'm so glad that was mentioned. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So anyway, thank you so much, Jeremy. You've been a wonderful guest, and thank you for opening up your life to us and letting us know about
Mm.
your encounters.
Oh, you're very welcome, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I hope that if you have any other interesting things that come up, let me know. We can always maybe discuss. No, we can discuss that. I love talking about different experiences and stuff.
Oh, of
Okay,
course.
okay, people. I know we have the show about the gin coming up. Again, and having Faye come on, Colleen, definitely a show again with Joe Panohu. And just to let you folks know, I did get something else quite interesting that I'm going to be sharing with you as soon as it comes in. As soon as it comes in, I'm going to be sharing it with you folks. And let me know what you think, yeah? Let me know what you think about it. Let's see, what are we saying here? Kelsey, Wiccan is a nature-based practice, and their motto is, and it harm none. Okay. Kelsey saying, it ain't like now. It is in the Harry Potter universe. Magic is apparently way different in real life. There's so much to be said about magic. A lot of it is spooky as well.
Mm.
Diabolic Gamer 81, I'm a believer in nature healing us. Carol says, yes, Diabolic Girl, I do too. Magic is dangerous. Oh, heck yeah. From Diabolic Girl. If misused, or you use it wrong. Okay, fine. Very good. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you for greeting people. If you're new to the channel, consider giving us a subscribe. And please also a like. If you see something out there, don't forget to hit that notification bell. Ring my bell anytime. I love that sensation. Trust me. Again, thank you for being here. I will let you know what these new things are. And then I'm going to be also using them when I go out live at haunted locations. Let me know what you folks think about it. Oh, yeah, and Big Island Bear and anyone else that's been doing the greeting here tonight, you've done a fantastic job. Carol as well, and anyone else who's done it. And thank you for loving the stream, my friend, Big Island Bear. Yes, great live stream. Thank you, Obaki, and good night, everyone. Aristocat, thank you as well for being here tonight. I'm going to close it off with something that's very important. I will do a short prayer. Please follow any belief system that you like when I do it. I do this to ask protection so that everybody is safe. So here we go. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all evil spirits who wander through the world for the ruin of all souls. Amen. And so no influence comes into the picture. This is why it just dawned on me. I say this other prayer. May the Holy Cross always be my light. May the dragon never be my guide. Step back, Satan. Never tempt me with your vanities. What you offer me is evil. Drink your own poison. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Everybody, as you've come here, leave the same in peace and be happy. Enjoy your life the way you should. You have your path to lead. Let it be a good one filled with with life affirming scenarios and love and laughter. All of that is important. Very, very important. Guys, I'm going to wrap things up. Jeremy, please stand by.
Mhm.
And I
Of
will
course.
talk to you all again fairly soon. Of course, I throw in some talk in the dark with you folks as well. I will talk to you all soon, guys. Again, thank you, Jeremy, for being our guest this evening. Ghosts of
You're very
Hawaii,
welcome.
your home for a dose of ghosts. And very large, somewhere out there where Jeremy lives is a very large shadow that I think is very interesting, along with someone that knocks on his walls and stuff. Final thoughts there. Amen. Aloha. Good night, all. Appreciate what you have. I believe that's true. Diabolic Gamer Girl 81. Mahalo from Faye. Thank you, Faye. Blessings to you, brother. Ghost of Hawaii. From Big Island Bear. Mahalos from Big Island Bear. It's always good to strive for more. From Diabolic Gamer Girl 81. All right, guys. I will talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace, love, light, and continue to live the way you feel is important.